So the reason we're here today is that wikis are a really powerful tool to engage many minds in one project. So a wiki is simply a web page that can be edited by anyone with access to that page. It's a pretty simple model, but there's many different kinds of wikis out there because there are a lot of different ways to build them and a lot of different ways that they can be effective. And this is a way to leverage those ideas by connecting you with one another so that you can work on them together. Enterprise social media is really just a fancy way of saying a social media platform that is for use specifically within one enterprise. And wikis are not the only example. Has anybody here ever heard of Yammer or seen it? How about Twitter? Okay, so Yammer is just like Twitter. It does a little bit more and it looks a little bit different. It looks more like Facebook, but it's restricted to only people that have an email address within a single domain name. So in other words, if you work for Maersk and you have a Maersk.com email address, you can access the Yammer version, the Maersk version of Yammer, but you can't access the Tata version of Yammer. So that's just another example of how social media can be used inside a company. Wikis are wonderful because they're really flexible, and they're an extremely powerful way for people to collaborate without being face-to-face, and especially for a company like Maersk that is geographically diverse, has people working in many different time zones as well as countries, and has diverse operations as well. So there are a lot of professionals that may do similar things and have similar business challenges, but they're not necessarily ever going to meet other people that do what they do face-to-face. That's where a wiki can be extraordinarily useful because it's a common ground, it's a meeting area for everybody, no matter where you are, what time you're working in, or what you do. Has everybody heard of Wikipedia? It is the 7th most accessed site on the World Wide Web today. Google's #1, but there are so many people using Wikipedia at this point. It has over 3.6 million topics. That's not words, that's page topics. And it's available in 260 languages and counting because they're still adding more. But I think actually the most amazing thing about Wikipedia is it's a not-for-profit. The thing was built entirely by volunteer labor. It's also built on open source software that is in and of itself a labor of love. The whole thing is a labor of love. And yet this encyclopedia that nobody got paid to build has more information in it than Encyclopedia Britannica, which is a for-profit corporation. So it's kind of a testament to the power of crowdsourcing. If you put enough people in a room, or even in a virtual room like a wiki, you've got the power, that much power at your disposal because you have so many minds and so much expertise and knowledge that you can actually build something that nobody has ever contemplated before. So Maersk is not the first company to come up with the idea. About 16% of the Fortune 500 already has at least one wiki. And these are just a few examples of companies that have done it. Nokia is kind of the example that everybody in the social media space likes to talk about because they have done such interesting things with it. They have literally dozens of wikis. Nearly every Nokia product has its own wiki, so that the developers that are working on that product can communicate with each other, again, across a disparate organization, and all work on the product together and share ideas in kind of an informal format. Tata has some wikis. They have one that is set up as a question and answer forum where employees can ask senior management questions and get responses back. So it's useful to both sides because, of course, that's a pretty good way to find out what your employees are interested in and talking about. And I've got a few other examples up here. Google is famous for its wikis, and Google actually has an external-facing wiki called the Goo Wiki, which is a great way to learn other ways to make Google work for you if you're trying to market your product. So that's a good source, too. So I'm guessing that some of you are wondering why you're sitting here today and why we chose India. One of the things we did when we were looking at how to structure this project was how we looked at how social media patterns in various countries are evolving. Danes don't use social media nearly as much as Indians do. So we knew that we had a demographic that was more likely to be social media savvy, and also that the kind of people that Maersk hires that in India tend to be technically savvy as well, which is very helpful to us because there is a technical side to using a wiki. And finally, not all the good ideas in the company come from inside Copenhagen. So we knew that there were good ideas here, and we wanted to leverage those ideas using this tool. So that's why you guys are here today. Just to give you a little background on this project, I thought I would run you through a really quick set of steps explaining how we got to where we are here. The germ of the idea came actually from Group HR. We were having a discussion on how we could help improve performance across the company. And the answer that we came up with was essentially we need to improve communications to do that. And the communications infrastructure wasn't quite what we needed it to be. So we decided to look at enterprise social media as a way to open up a commons where people could exchange ideas and collaborate. So in 2011, Group HR put up the resources to get this built. We engaged some teams of experts that have worked with the software before and an architect to help us build it and got it started. This month we're doing pilot here in India. We're visiting 3 different cities to get enough people engaged to get it rolling and do these live demonstrations here. We're also creating the video that you see being made here today so that we'll have a demo for people that are not able to come to a live session and for other people as we roll it out throughout the company. Other groups outside of India will be coming on. The Manila GSC is being invited to join and will probably come on in the next few weeks or in early September, and others. So in September, we will be evaluating the results. We're setting up some analytics so that we can look at basic information like traffic statistics and number of users logging in from different geographic areas so that we can get an idea of how we're doing. Introduce the wiki to the rest of the company in October. So that's the general plan. And just because Group HR started it doesn't mean it's theirs. The idea is they came up with the idea, they put up the money to build it, but the goal is very much a general company goal, which is improve performance, improve communications, build infrastructure that everybody can use. So they don't own it, they just got the ball rolling.